Hi students, welcome back to this video session. This is the continuation of the first video on writing equations from real world word problems. Question 11. At the 2008 Beijing Summer Olympics, China earned 100 medals. The number of gold medals was 23 more than the number of bronze medals. The number of bronze medals was 7 more than the number of silver medals. How many gold medals did China earn? And our source is from the World Almanac. So, in this case, we have 3 medals. We have the gold medal, we have the bronze medal, and we have the silver medal. So let's just, let's kind of say I assign variables to the 3 of them. So let the number of gold medals be G, the number of bronze medals be B, and the number of silver medals be S. We have that, we now go back to the word problem. We see that the number of gold medals is 23 more than the number of bronze medals. So G is 23 plus B. This means whatever the number of bronze medals they earned, the gold medals was 23 more than that. So if they earned 5 bronze medals, then the gold medals will be 23 plus 5, which is 28. Okay, this is just to explain it. Now, we also see that the number of bronze medals was 7 more than the number of silver medals. So B will be 7 plus S. So we call that the first one equation 1 and the second one equation 2. Then we look at the main equation that we look at the main sentence here that they earned 100 medals. So both the gold medal plus bronze medal plus silver medals, all those medals are equal to 100. So what do we do now? We want to find, we want to just translate all the equations to just have one variable. So we just substitute. We substitute for G from equation 1. We substitute 23 plus B. For G, from equation 1. What does that mean? That means that anywhere we see G, we have to put 23 plus B. So that was what we did, and we now have a 23 plus B plus B. Remember this G. This G is equal to 23 plus B. So we substituted it. Then this B is equal to this B, okay? And then the S. So we now have, instead of G, we now have B, B, and S. But we want all of them to be just in one variable. So what do we do next? We still substitute. We substitute for B. B is 7 plus S. So we substitute for B, 7 plus S. So the 7 plus S plus 7 plus S plus S equal to 100. So that gives us that 37 plus 3S is equal to 100. So we substituted for G and B so that we can have only one variable, S. This will make it easier for us to solve the equation. Once we get the value of S, we then substitute back. If we get S, we substitute it back in equation 2 to get B. And once we get B, we substitute it back in equation 1 to get G. So that is how we will get the number of gold medals. Question 12. The sum of 3 consecutive integers is 72. Find the integers. So remember, this is a continuation video. This is the second video. It is required that you view the first video. We discussed about consecutive integers. So we say let the first integer be P, the second consecutive one is P plus 1, the next one, the third consecutive one, is p plus 2. So this means that p plus p plus 1 plus p plus 2 will give us 72. Question 13. Find 3 consecutive even integers. Now this is consecutive even, such that 5 times the first minus the third is 8 more than twice the second. So what do we do here? We first of all identify is. The is is what? Equal sign. It separates the left hand side from the right hand side. Now we look at the left hand side. 5 times the first minus the third. So we have the third, and then we have 5 times the first, and then we just subtract. We subtract the third from 5 times the first. So here we can just walk it straightforward. 5 times the first is 5 times e. We said let the first even integer be e, then the next consecutive one is e plus 2, and the third consecutive one is e plus 4. That is the first thing we write. Then 5 times the first, this is the first one, is 5 times e, which is 5e. Now minus the third means 5e minus parenthesis e plus 4. We have to put this parenthesis because of the subtraction sign. Of course, then we have our is equal. Now we go to this is the left hand side here. Now let's go to the right hand side. 8 more than twice the second. Who do we find here first? We have to find twice the second, and then 8 more than 8. We now add 8 to it. So twice the second means 2 times e plus 2, right? Which is this. Then 8 more than twice the second means you add 8 to it. So once you get this, you now have that 5e minus parenthesis e plus 4 will be equal to 8 more than twice the second. 8 plus 2 parenthesis e plus 2. Question 14. If 6 is subtracted from the third of 3 consecutive odd integers, and the result is multiplied by 2, the answer is 23 less than the sum of the first and twice the second of the integers. Find the integers. Now, some students, when they see this kind of questions, they don't want to attempt it at all. You know, what problems sometimes they just write it a lot so that you get confused and quit, but you will not quit. Okay, we have to do it. So first of all, let's find the equal sign that will separate our left hand side from the right hand side. We read this again. If 6 is subtracted from the third of 3 consecutive odd integers, and that result is multiplied by 2. Now, this is not the is we are looking for. Okay? This is what we are looking for. The answer is, it is this is that we are looking for, is. So this is the equal sign that will separate the left hand side from the right hand side. Okay? So let's start with the left hand side. 6 is subtracted from the third of 3 consecutive odd integers. So we have consecutive odd integers. So let the first integer be j. Second consecutive odd will be j plus 2. Third consecutive odd will be j plus 4. Okay? So 6 is subtracted from the third. That means that this will be j plus 4 minus 6. Right? You get the third, and then you subtract 6 from it. Okay? Now, and then you multiply whatever result you get, you now multiply by 2. So this will be 2 times j plus 4 minus 6. This is the left hand side. That gives us the left hand side. And of course our is the equal sign. Now let's look at the second part. Sometimes it's better to work backwards depending on how the sentence was worded. Okay, now the second one, we have 23 less than the sum of the first and twice the second of the integers. So here we have to find twice the second first, and then we have to find the sum of that first and twice the second, and then whatever we get, we now do 23 less than that. Okay, we have to find twice the second, then we find the sum of the first and whatever we get. Twice the second is 2 times j plus 2. Then we find the sum of the first and that, which is j plus 2 times j plus 2. And then we have 23 less than that. So whatever we get here, we do minus 23. Let's see it. So j plus 2 times j plus 2 minus 23. So this gives us the right hand side. And then how do we write the equation? We have to write this left hand side equal to the right hand side. We now solve it. Question 15. 2 pages that are back to back in Mr. Chukwuemeka's book have 205 as the sum of their page numbers. What are the page numbers? So why I wrote this question is because of the word back to back. You know, I didn't mention it in the beginning slides. Back to back means consecutive. That's what it means. So if we have 2 pages that are back to back, if the first page is C, then the next page will be C plus 1. Yeah, it is consecutive. So we now have that the sum, this is the sum plus the sum of this first page and then the next page is 205. So you can solve it. C plus C is 2C, then plus 1 equal to 205. Then you solve it. Question 16. Godwin is paid double time for each hour he works over 40 hours in a week. Last week, he worked 55 hours and earned $1,750. What is his normal hourly rate? So we don't know the normal hourly rate, so we assign a variable. Let the variable be R. Now, he worked 55 hours, right? So that means over 40 hours. So he has some overtime. So what is the overtime hours? 55 minus 40, which gives us 15. Okay? Then, double means 2. Multiply by 2. So each hour he works over 40 hours, he's paid double time. So if he's paid $1 per hour for 40 hours a week, 40 hours at $1 per hour means 40 times R, which is 40 R. Okay, let's say that R is 2. If he earns $2 per hour, that means 40 hours they will earn $80. Okay. Now, but the overtime he's paid double. So the double time means 2 times R, which is 2R. So you now do 15 hours at $2 per hour. Will be 15 times 2R. That gives you 30R. So when you add both of these, it will give you how much he earned that week. Okay, $1,750 the week. So when you add them, you now equate it to the amount he earned that week. This is the usual pay, and then this is the overtime pay, and both of them, the sum of both of them gives you the amount he earned per week for that week. Okay. Question 17. Rebecca has 390 coins consisting of pennies, nickels, and dimes. The number of nickels she has is 10 less than twice the number of pennies. The number of dimes she has is 20 less than 3 times the number of pennies. How many coins of each kind does she have? So in this case, we have done an example of this case before. We have 3 things here, 3 variables here: pennies, nickels, and dimes. So let us assign variables to these 3 things. So we have number of pennies to be P, number of nickels to be N, and number of dimes to be D. Now, she has 390 coins consisting of these 3 things: pennies, nickels, and dimes. So that means that P plus N plus D is equal to 390. We don't know how many each of them are, and that was what we were asked to find. Okay, they now gave us that the number of nickels, N, is 10 less than twice the number of pennies. So we got the number of pennies, which is P. We do twice that, which is 2P. Then 10 less than that is 2P minus 10. Okay, then the number of dimes is 20 less than 3 times the number of pennies. So what do we do again here? We find the number of pennies, which is P. We do 3 times that, that is 3P. Then 20 less than that is 3P minus 20. So we now substitute for N and D in equation 1. Okay, this means that wherever we see N, we put 2P minus 10. And wherever we see D, we put 3P minus 20 from equation 1. And when we do that, we find that 6P minus 30 is 390. We can now solve for the number of pennies. Once we get that, then we substitute in equation 2. For that, we substitute the number we got in order to find the number of nickels. And once we get the number of nickels, we also substitute the number of pennies in equation 3 in order to get the number of dimes. Okay? Question 18. John sells cars on a salary plus commission basis. He receives a weekly salary of $400 and a commission of $200 for each car he sells. How many cars must he sell in a week to have a total weekly income of $3,000? Okay, this is on a weekly basis. He wants to make $3,000. Meanwhile, he has a fixed salary of $400. That's the fixed weekly salary. And then a variable salary on a commission basis of $200 per car he sells. So if he wants to make $3,000, okay, we've got to consider this. We first of all know that 400 is fixed. We've got to put it. Then we look at the variable salary, $200 per car. So let the number of cars that he will sell be C, because we don't know it. We want to find how many cars is he going to sell in order to have this weekly income of 3,000. So if he receives 200 per car he sells, that means it will be 200 times C. For every car that he sells, it's gonna be 200. So if he sells 10 cars, it will be 2,000. If he sells 5 cars, it will be 1,000 because it's 200 times 5. If he sells C cars, it will be 200 times C, which is 200C. So that's the variable salary. Now, when you add the fixed salary, which is 400, plus the variable salary, which is 200C, you will now have 3,000. And then you now solve for C and find out how many cars he needs to sell in order to make that amount, 3,000 for the week. Okay? Question 19. A triangle is such that its medium side is twice as long as its shortest side. Its longest side is 7 meters less than 3 times its shortest side. The perimeter of the triangle is 65 meters. Find the lengths of the 3 sides of the triangle. Okay, in this case we have a triangle. Let's kind of draw it. Let's say that maybe this is the shortest side. Let's call it S. Let's say maybe that this is the medium side. Let's call it M. And then let's say that this is the longest side. Let's call it G. Perimeter means, you know, the entire distance round. So S plus M plus G to give us 65. Now, but they told us this. They told us that the medium side is twice as long as its shortest side. So M is 2 times S. Okay? They also told us that the longest side is 7 meters less than 3 times its shortest side. So first of all, we have to find 3 times the shortest side. And when we get it, we now subtract 7 from it. 7 is less than that. So this will be, will now give us that G is equal to 3S minus 7. Then the perimeter means the total distance round, S plus M plus G, to give us 65 meters. Now, we want to have only one variable. Okay? We want to find the shortest side first, because that's the main thing. And once we find the shortest side, we can now substitute in equation 1 to find the medium side. Then after finding the medium side, we can now substitute for the shortest side in equation 2 to find the longest side. So basically, from this equation, S plus M plus G equal to 65, we want to find the shortest side first. So let's substitute for M. Wherever we see M, we put 2S. And wherever we see G, we put 3S minus 7. So when we now do that, we now have that S plus 2S plus 3S minus 7 is equal to 65. 65 is the perimeter. That means that 6x minus 7 is 65. Okay, question 20 is a, you know, in this case, they want us to solve it. In this case, let's solve it. The sum of the present ages of Nora and her mother is 54 years. In 5 years, Nora will be 3/5 as old as her mother at that time. How old is Nora? How old is her mother? Solve. So, we don't know Nora's age and we don't know the mother's age. So we assign what? Variables. Let Nora's age be N and let her mother's age be M. Now, the sum of the present ages is 54. Sum. Okay? We call it equation 1. Now, in 5 years, Nora will be 3/5 as old as her mother at that time. So, in 5 years, Nora will be what? N plus 5. Like, assuming I'm 20 years now, in 5 years, I'll be 25 because it is 20 plus 5. So, in 5 years, Nora will be what? N plus 5. And her mother will be what? M plus 5. Now, Nora's age then will be 3/5 of her mother. Okay? That's why you now have that n plus 5 is equal to 3/5 times n plus 5. And then you can solve this first by clearing the fractions. And how do you clear the fractions? By multiplying both sides by the LCD. Of course, the LCD here is 5. Okay? So multiply both sides by 5. Right? And when we do that, we now have that equation. When we solve the equation, we find out that Nora is 19 years and her mother is 35 years. Thank you so much, students, for listening, and you have a great day.